All right, cool. My name is Erwin Solis, and I am joined again here today with
Kat Diaz.
asked her kind of specifically back on today because we want to do something a little more different than what we usually do. So today we want to do kind of like a little joke workshop. So we're going to be, once again, the reason I asked Kat here is because I've not only we've been on like 2 shows together now, or like 3, I think.
Many shows.
And besides that, I've seen you at open mics as well. And so every time that I see you at an open mic, I see you always bring up new stuff. And I always, at open mics, I don't see too many comedians like always, constantly bringing up new stuff. And when I see your stuff, it's always something that I feel like, oh, that's actually, well thought, and that's, it's actually something good.
Thanks, Erwin.
so
Well, when the old stuff doesn't work, you gotta come up with new stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the hope. So I don't know if you're kind of like me, where this ends up getting me into trouble a lot of the times, where at first, I mean, I do think it's something that I was just kind of born with, but then also just brought on by stuff in my life. But my brain just kind of sees like funny first, which will make me laugh at like horrible situations. So like I'll have to be taking things seriously. People will be crying and shit. Like things will be going bad, and I'm having a laugh. And people like, I've had people call me evil and shit. Like, and to me, it's like,
what have been some situations that you laughed at? Now I'm curious.
One
of the lighter
maybe
ones.
that specific. I had a friend who this was a separate event on an accident. I'm not gonna say his name because right now he's a cop, and so he owned before he was a cop, he owned a gun. And one day he was hanging out with one of his friends. He was showing it to him. He let him use it. He was handling it wrong, and he ended up getting shot through the knee.
Oh, wow.
So we hung out like a few days after that happened. We were drinking and stuff. He had too much to drink. So he ended up like, he was walking around, bumped his knee onto like the sofa or something, which had recently been shot. So he was just crying in pain. He lays on the ground, and that made me laugh. And so
okay, that's pretty hard of you.
And his brother was there. His younger brother was there, and he looks at me. He's like, "You're evil." And, so. I mean,
but did he see the humor eventually? Was he like, "Oh, you got me"? Yeah,
hopefully.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, and I mean, there's been other shit like that where for sure I shouldn't be laughing, but
right.
Like I said, I don't know if you're like that, or
I don't know. There's been situations like in my past that something like traumatic has happened, and the first reaction is just to like start laughing about it, but it's like a nervous laughter, right? It's just, I don't know what it is. It's like I've never laughed so hard like as I did when I heard that someone I loved got in a car accident. Like I was just like laughing. I was like, what is this reaction? But yeah. I've never been called evil.
Yeah, that one.
For that.
That one might just be me. All right.
It's a special thing for you. Yeah, unique.
Yeah, well, I guess kind of bring that up because like there's something we kind of mentioned last time you were here is like I'll write things down, or I'll talk about things that to me is like that's not just funny, but like kind of maybe even kind of personal to me, and it's something that like it's like, oh, that's my perspective on it. And then but people will just be like, why are you like only telling dick jokes? Why, like, you're not it doesn't seem like deep or introspective or anything like that. Yeah. And so I mean, I guess that's just kind of the natural way that I kind of see things. So I don't know if that's how your writing is as well. Or
yeah, I mean, you have to write about things that are like authentic, that you relate to first off, because if you don't relate to your jokes, how do we expect the audience to relate to them? So like during the day, pretty much, like there will just be little things that catch my attention, and like so then I'll just like type it down in my notes in my phone. And they're just, now I'm starting to kind of use like frustrating situations, like if my parents are being like really not strict, but like overbearing, because they're all like, oh, like, Katita, you shouldn't like go so far for comedy, like, like something's gonna happen. And it's like, well, it's kind of in the, I mean, obviously I don't want anything to happen, but it's like I need to travel and things like that. But so then like I'm starting to kind of like look at those frustrations as like, to see how an audience could relate to it, because a lot of, everyone has some type of parental figure, and they've butt heads with them, right? Like I'm sure you have with your people. So like everyone can relate to that. So yeah, it's the material comes from life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That kind of brings up something that when I talk to comedians, I also ask them, is there a philosophy to your comedy? And most people will say no. They'll try to keep it.
I know. I've seen all the interviews. Everyone's like, ah,
yeah. And I felt like for the most part, was that way as well until kind of recently I was rewatched, because absolute total fan of Patrice O'Neill.
Okay, yeah.
And so like I was just rewatching some of his stuff, and he. On one of his, like, I think it was like the second podcast he ever did, because he was like, he passed away right at that age where it was just starting to come in.
Yeah.
So he was talking about how his comedy is his philosophy. Like that's, so he doesn't separate himself from that. Where, and hearing him say that, I was like, what, that kind of does resonate more with me. Where I feel like my comedy as well is my philosophy as well.
It's so personal. Like, how could it not be?
Yeah. And which, I mean, to a certain degree, it also is and isn't true, because like there's definitely things that I'll stretch the truth just to get a laugh and stuff,
exaggerate.
Yeah, and because or like a lot of my act is talking about like either kind of bashing religion or talking about like women and stuff. So
I know I've heard your stuff. Erwin, I don't know you thought like that. But it's funny.
So there's definitely like things in that are genuine kind of thoughts in my life, but then there is that part where like I'm trying to get a laugh here,
right?
Where also I guess one of the I wanted to bring up one of the better examples I feel of that. I don't know if you're familiar with on Instagram, there's this account called Go For It Apparel, and it's a guy who he says how he started is he just from hearing the phrase go for it, like just do it, go for it,
right? Yeah,
he from that there's the word gopher in it, like the little animal. So he started a t-shirt brand with gophers, and he created like an entire universe of like gophers have psionic powers and they come from another dimension and they do all this type of thing. But I feel like that's a really great example of kind of what joke writing should be, because it begins with a grounded place, and then you shoot off like people kind of need to see where you're gonna what you're shooting for, because if you're just kind of being absurd, like to be absurd, then people like they'll get lost. They don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, some people are great at that, like Andy Kaufman, Jim Carrey, Robin Williams. A little cocaine didn't hurt, but yeah. And I think that's what some people like about like absurdism, is that maybe they themselves feel like they couldn't do that. Like I don't think I could, zoom around like Robin Williams, but like to see him do it is entertaining. Like being absurd is not my favorite kind of comedy. Like I feel like I like more of like the dry, like one-liners, like punchy comics. But and those are definitely like jokes that just like hit the audience, like the punchline. Obviously, it gives them a punch because it just slides into place, and I think that's probably my favorite comedy to write. Like when I get a premise and then I just like a one that I just I've been thinking a lot about piñatas recently.
Okay.
And like I was just trying to, I don't know how it came into my head, but so I have this joke where I never had a piñata as a kid. So I could never beat a piñata as a kid. So the joke is basically, I never had a piñata as a kid, so I became a furry as an adult. Because if you can't beat them, join them.
Okay.
And it's been getting good response so far. And I think it's just because people like, it's just that little moment of like, oh, like you beat the piñata, but you can't like, I don't know. Dissecting comedy is so like, you dissect the frog and it dies, but it's there. The frog's in there. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of like the audience, I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel that a set should be like you're creating kind of like how with an intimate friend you might have inside jokes.
Yeah.
Where you create that intimacy with that person, where you now where even just by saying like one word you can bring up a lot of shit that will make you laugh. I don't know if you agree with, like, do you feel that you should have that intimacy with the crowd where you guys are almost creating like inside jokes with each other?
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that I'm working on because I'm deathly afraid of the crowd. But it's so important to get out there and establish yourself. Number one is having the control on stage. Mm-hmm. And so that the audience knows they can trust you to make them laugh. So that's where like the belief in yourself that you believe you can make them laugh comes into play. And then once that happens, like you're free to just like be yourself and play around. And it's important to be in the moment. That's something that I'm also working on because I'm very like wordy in my writing, and I'm like, I have to hit these words. Yeah. And that doesn't always play well, right? Like it comes off a little scripted, and like the audience wants to know that they're special, right? The audience wants them to know that this is a moment that will only happen like right now. They came out to the show, they paid for this moment. Like it's unique, and so that connection is super important.
Yeah I definitely do a lot of the same, because I'll often feel my deliveries to be very robotic, because like,
and it's hard when you're reading from notes too. Yeah,
because like I'll like you said as well, with my writing, I'm always changing my shit too.
Yeah,
so whenever I have a joke, and as I'm telling it on stage, in my head I'm like, do I go in this direction? Is it supposed to be this and this?
Right.
So then I end up just kind of defaulting on like kind of just reciting from memory instead of
you don't feel it,
instead of like you said, being there with the crowd in the moment. So that's something I also definitely have to keep working on.
And I ask people all the time, like I have such a bad memory, how do you remember your jokes, because like I do like rewrite mine so many times, so I guess it just takes more practice.
Maybe. I'm still figuring that one out too.
I guess, because we've been doing it around the same time-ish. Like I think I hit 2 years October 1st.
Oh, okay.
So
around there. About.
So maybe our memory is going to get better this year.
This year's the one.
This is the year. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah. I guess kind of with that, I feel like also how I organize my jokes. I think I kind of brought this up last time, how I kind of took my organization from George Carlin, where he'll do like, he'll write a joke, but then he'll label it, is this like political? Is this about men or women, or like, whatever subject it is? And so that's how I've been constructing my sets, because like I have, just a plethora of jokes, just a bunch of shit that's randomly written down. and so I'll have to piece things by so
Subject.
they'll
Yeah.
puzzle together, like kind of by subject, and that's also been helping with the memory as well, because now
Yeah.
I know, okay, I'm starting with the religion chunk or whatever, where I'm doing my religion jokes, and then okay, that leads into like the woman stuff or whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't know how you organize your jokes or what you do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, pretty much, similar for sure. Because I do have a lot that kind of fall into the same subject matter, like, dating, being Latina, growing up in the Midwest, mental health. So, it's kind of easy to group them like that. And so that's a good technique. I agree with that technique, 100%. I endorse it.
All right. Well, I guess I'll kind of talk about maybe it. I guess now I consider it one joke, but it was built, like I said, puzzled together,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually, let me see if I can find it real fast. Well, no, it's so it starts with ladies, can we just see your titties, right?
Oh,
'cause
yes.
we're trying to get to know you.
That one.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to get to know you, but you're putting these things in between us, and that was like the first individual joke, and then that developed more into into it. Well, I actually merged it with another joke that was, do you know why us as guys, why we get so angry, why we fight with each other a lot, and that's because I can't fuck my boy in the ass. If I could just do that, then I wouldn't need to objectify you and stuff.
Right.
So then those two merged together, and I got rid of the do you know why we need to like fight as guys and stuff, and it turns into ladies, can we just see your titties, right? Want to get to know you, but I don't want to be so mean, like I'll tell you, like, why we need to objectify you, and it's because, right, I can't fuck my boy in the ass. If I could just do that, then I wouldn't need to see your titties. So
right.
now I've merged two that become that it rounds off that first can I see your titty joke, because it's now
Yeah.
it's not just the because at first I used to use that as kind of like just it's like a blatant, like it's kind of like I'm just blurting it out,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not necessarily like a real
You're just
like a
saying the
beginning to it.
line. Yeah.
It's like just punchline, like
right.
that's it.
Yeah.
So that's how it began, but then now puzzling shit together, I can develop it further into, now it adds why we need to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have anything like that, or you might want to bring up or not, or
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just from writing so much, things, like I said, like overarching themes happen, and so then you can piece those things together. But it's also hard, because then you kind of have to throw away some things that did work maybe, but you're like, maybe this works better. But yeah, it's like killing your own child, right? I mean, I don't like kids, so I don't care. I'm kidding. I love kids. We're in a daycare. That's sacrilegious to say that. But yeah, it's, you can't edit yourself when you write, and you just got to write whatever comes out, because you might stumble onto something you weren't expecting, right? So you just got to throw whatever's on your mind on that page, and you might find that connection.
There's well, like I brought up, like as how I said, I used to use that joke just as like just a singular punchline, and that's like one style of joke. But then I also have like my Jesus joke, that's what I refer to it as, and that's right, I like to go to the movies a lot, but they've been making the main protagonist women. I'm just waiting until they try to make Jesus a woman. where he had long hair in all of his pictures, enjoyed himself a glass of wine. He fed people fish because he was trying to stay healthy. He went to supper with some of his friends. Never heard of a guy going to supper with some of his friends. And he would use his dad's name for authority. It sounds like a woman to me. So that's a different kind of joke. Like, I guess I might refer to it as like a listing, or not necessarily a listing, but like where I'm taking
could be
I'm
a rule
taking
of
a perspective, and that's part of it too. But like I'm kind of showing something in a new perspective, and that's something
like
I
a
feel
twist.
that's something I feel overarches with that's maybe not necessarily what comedy should be, but like what a lot of it is showing not necessarily like a new thought, but showing something old in a new way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's why we do what we do, because we want to shine like our perspective, you know, and that's what makes people laugh, is they're like, oh, I never thought about it that way, but that makes so much fucking sense, right? That's what makes me laugh the most. So it's definitely, I think, like giving it that twist and like putting it in a way that people haven't like thought about before, you know, which is hard now because everyone's thought every thought at least once.
it does
but
feel that way.
yeah, but you know, there's still gold out there. You just gotta mine it.
Yeah. This has definitely been it's probably, you know, because in most of my spare time I'm usually listening to comedy. I'm on YouTube just trying to find new comedians. I'm listening to new shit all the time.
I started listening to that comedy construction or something that
the comedy bar, or I mean
the channel that you put me on. Comedy, like where he
enforcement, or
comedy enforcement.
Yeah, there's a few more. But yeah, you're saying, or
yeah, just, you know, some interesting, you know, beefs between like Lopez and Barbosa.
yeah. Man, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess kind of bringing that up, but definitely.
Let's talk about beefs.
Man, I guess definitely one of the main reasons I feel like we here in Chicago should be getting out there a lot is because there's just a lot of the like those kind of more mainstream comedians that like I'll listen to their comedy and I'm just like, I can do better than that. Like that's not. We should be like, there's better people around, and they have such a big platform, and to me it's like we just gotta get our face in there, because I know we can do better.
Yeah. I know. I mean, you know, there's the scenes. I mean, the ultimate scenes we all know is New York and Los Angeles, right? Because they say that's where the industry is, right? That's where the big people, you know, the ones who can point at you and say, he's a star, she's a star, you know. And here, like, I feel like everything is more like independent and, you know, locally grown, which is great. And I think it's a fire hill of a scene. Like, I think Chicago is the best comedy scene in the United States, just pound for pound, like writing and performance. But I guess, you know, I'm obviously not at that level, you know, and we still got a long way to go. But like they say that there's like a level that you get to and there's just no more to go up. So I guess that's why, you know, we just gotta, you know, keep making our own opportunities, right? We gotta keep getting out there.
Man, like the style that we have here in Chicago, for sure. I feel like, I mean, like you said, I haven't been around like the whole country or anything like that, so right. I can't necessarily say, oh, this is what happens here, this is what happens there.
Yeah.
But at least I know I've seen like comics come from like LA and stuff, and they'll be like, man, like I remember once at Reggie's, and you've been there. They have like their midnight open mic.
Right.
I was there once. You know, there was this dude from LA who had come, and he's like, man, I thought that I was gonna come in here and try some like, you know, more raunchy shit, more, you know, try to go darker, but he's like, but you guys fucking absolutely just bring it to another level, like that. Like he was expecting to, you know, kind of go dark, but the shit that we do here is like it's way beyond what he even thought would
Uh-huh.
be there. So and also like online, I feel like I hear people talk a lot about how part of it being kind of cancel culture, and like people kind of like being maybe becoming more soft and shit, more PC, where comedy now has also been taking that turn where it's becoming like it's just been softening up a lot. And a lot of what was like some of the first like I brought up Patrice O'Neill,
Mm-hmm.
and who he was with like Bill Burr and like that group of comics coming up, how they used to say that they had their table where they would just talk shit to each other, destroy each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what like made them strong as comics. I feel like
Mhm.
that's kind of something that we have catering over here in Chicago. And I don't know if that's becoming more exclusive with how, I don't know if you agree with how like comedy has been taking more of a turn to like more PC type shit. And I feel like this scene we have here in Chicago is like kind of going against that, and for the better. I'd say for the better.
I feel like I feel like comedy is becoming more accessible to more people, and the society that we live in today in general is obviously more PC, and I do think that it's I think inclusion is good, and I think the fact that like you and me and somebody who maybe couldn't have gone up in the 80s or 70s or something, been taken seriously, like I think that the way that comedy has changed in that way, that it's not just okay to shit on someone because they're a certain race or sex or whatever, is good. I do think that 99.9% of any subject can be made funny, but I don't think that 90% of the comedians who attempt it have the skill to make it funny. Like I think it needs to be like the worse at the joke, the darker or more offensive that the joke is, the more funny it has to be, and that's completely possible. Now I'm not saying that I can do it, but I'm just saying that like if you want to say something shitty, make it funnier. And then, you know, people, if you can make someone laugh, that's just erasing the slate to them. But if you don't make them laugh, you better be ready for an ass whooping.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that's with especially my comedy, that's a line I tiptoe every time I get on the stage.
Yeah.
Because also talking about Reggie's, I've been kicked off of that stage
Okay.
for talking shit. Well, I mean, it was
it the woman joke?
no, it was doing racist shit.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've told other people, you know, what I said on that stage, and they said, you know, that's not that bad, but it also, you know, you got to know your crowd and shit. And it's like,
Yeah.
if you're bashing too much on one thing, it's like, move on.
You
Or
have
you have
to have that balance.
It's you have, as much as some people don't want to feel like a clown on stage, you kind of are there for the people's entertainment.
Right.
So that's something that I feel a lot of comedians don't really take into account. That's not something
Yeah.
that they really want to do, because like I said, they don't want to feel like a clown or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's to a certain degree what we are.
Yeah, like we're there. People pay money, hopefully, to listen to us, and because I mean, we all have shitty weeks sometimes, and we want, you know, something to take the pain away. And like, you know, if we're up there just causing more trouble or making someone feel bad, that's not cool. You know, it's not what it's about. Yeah.
For sure. Actually, okay, yeah. I guess I'll bring up maybe because like I said, that time I got kicked off stage at Reggie's. I'll tell you the last one that got me kicked off.
Dang, how many times you been kicked off stage?
It was only the one time. It was only the one time.
You had a list.
But as
Rule of 3.
No, like I said, I guess the joke that broke the camel's back was life is like a box of chocolates. Oh no, it starts with because like I said, it's like, I'm talking about racist shit. So then I say, it reminds me of something my grandma used to say: life is like a box of chocolates, uh, a lot of blacks. And so, like, I had just, done a bunch of other racist shit. People hear me say that, and it's like, okay, that's enough. That's enough of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's about it from you.
and I mean, like, I have told that, joke other times, but now I do it with the caveat of, if I'm doing racist material, I'll at least try not to stay on one race. I'll do, like, one of my jokes has like the Trump wall joke, Chinese people, Mexicans, and then, if I keep going from there, so that it's not me bashing people,
Right,
it's making jokes. So
yeah.
that
Less
subtle
targeted.
difference,
Yeah.
which it makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, because it's like,
Sure.
if someone like makes fun of you like one time, you're like, oh, funny. But then if they keep like saying the same shit about you, you're like, oh, you really believe this, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I thought you was my friend.
And I guess another one of those jokes that I feel really tiptoes that line, which I also kind of stopped doing it for a while, because I was like, it goes over the border a little too much.
Is that the joke,
So-
over the border?
But so more recently, I was able to kind of finally finish it and like round it off to the point where I could reel it back in, and now it makes people actually laugh instead of
Okay.
just like going, oh shit, what the fuck. Which I did at the last show that we were together, which I don't think you were there for the set, but it delivered well, because so with religions having committed so many atrocities throughout the years, like the Aztecs rolling heads down the pyramids, Catholics with the Crusades, and Sharia law in the Middle East, like cutting the clitorises off of women and shit. Is it really so bad that nowadays Catholics only rape kids every once in a while? And so it would end there. That's where it used to end.
Okay.
But that would
Makes
leave
me
people.
sad.
But that would leave people at, oh, what the fuck?
Right. Yeah.
So then that further developed into I'm not, advocating for like kid touching and shit. But what I'm asking is, if you had to choose whether to send your kid to a place where he'll probably get sacrificed for a better harvest, his heart ripped out and then his body chucked over a pyramid, or you had to send him to a place where he might maybe get molested every once in a while, like, which one are you choosing here? And then people will laugh at that, but I'll also finish it with, that's a trick question. The real answer is to get rid of all religions. And people will go, oh yeah. And then I'll also add, but I'm starting my own cult, by the way, if anybody wants to hang out. So that takes it over the edge with kid touching, brings it back with never mind, no, get rid of the religions, and then maybe a little bit back in the middle with, I'm starting my own cult. So that's one I feel I kind of figured out how to how to go over and reel back, because that's something you have to do.
You want the audience on your side in the end. Yeah.
That's something I figured out the hard way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, that's about why we do the mics, to figure this shit out.
Oh yeah, because that joke specifically, I think, was around maybe almost like a whole year, where I probably stopped doing it for like a few 2 or 3 months or something, and then I finally I thought about it one day. I'm like, oh shit, here's how you finish it. So I mean, yeah, I still got a lot more of those to try to develop and shit, because I know a lot of my shit. I heard the other day I was at Problematica, and I think some
R.I.P.
comic oh yeah. yeah. Hopefully it'll be back soon.
They'll be back.
But,
yeah.
I think I walked out another comic. I don't because I thought I heard someone, like, I finished my set, I go sit down, and I thought I heard someone say oh, this person had to leave because the last comic was so offensive. And
Oh my god.
and I was like, what? Because the person that left was a comic too. And I was like, really? That I thought the crowd would find it all right, but all right. Shit. So I definitely still, I guess I still got shit to work on with that.
Were you just talking about like drink tickets or something? Maybe they were offended that they got paid in drink ticket. I don't know. Who knows? We comedians are a sensitive bunch.
Yeah, that's very true.
Sometimes.
Some people bottle it up. Some people let it out. But
let it all go.
All right.
That's funny.
I don't know if there's anything you want to add maybe before we finish this, or
just keep writing. That's probably the best thing that you can do. I write every day. If I don't write one day, I make sure to make it up another day, because that's where the set's gonna come from. And the more that you get into the habit of writing, the better that you start thinking in comedy. Like the more the jokes form in there, and you can get better at riffing. Sometimes I'll just talk to myself all day, and I feel like that's helped me get a little bit better at riffing, which is not much, obviously, but I'm still working on it. But yeah, this has been fun. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you, like always. Where can we find you? Social medias stuff?
Yo. I'm at Calmness on IG. Also follow my show page, Buena Onda Comedy Chicago. And I'm on Facebook, but don't add me on Facebook because I don't do that.
All right. Well, cool. Well, that'll be the end of that. And here we go.